Forty7 Garage here. It's been a while since we've posted anything on the channel, and we've been really busy here. 2023 was a year of a lot of craziness in the shop. We worked a lot on car development. Several projects got done. We got involved with Formula Drift as well. It was a year we were really dedicated to that. But today, in particular, I want to talk about a project that was a real challenge for us this year. I never imagined I'd get to work on a car like this. So, about a year and a half ago, the client called me and said, "Hey, I have a DeLorean that caught fire, and I was told you're the only person who can get it running again. There are a lot of really skilled people in Utah, but it was cool that, we got some great recommendations. The car is about 99% done, right? There are still a few little details to finish, but we're getting ready to deliver the car to the client. So there will probably be more posts about it on Instagram. But that's it. Let's get to know a bit more about this project, about the car, so you guys can see if you like it, if you approve of the project." This is a 1981 DeLorean. This car has only 8,000 miles on it, which should be about 13,000 kilometers. Yeah, they made 9,000 units. This is unit number 4,400. So the value of the car is very much related to its production number. So on its chassis, the last 6 digits determine the production sequence. And in this case, we've got something in the 4,400 and something range. If you have a DeLorean that's in the 1,000 range, it's going to be worth a lot more, even if it's in the same condition, than one that's in the 8,000 range. The DeLorean originally came with a V6 engine with about 120 horsepower, more or less, and it was a partnership. At the time, DeLorean, bought the engine, which was developed in partnership between Volvo, Renault, and Peugeot, if I'm not mistaken. But it's an engine that doesn't have much power. It's an engine that isn't reliable. It's an engine that had a lot of problems, the old injection system, right? It's electronic fuel injection, but it's an old system. And here in the United States, even though there were a lot of units here, there also weren't many spare parts for this engine. Because of that, when the car came to us, it had already caught fire, The rear of the car, what happened next, we actually found out during the process of taking the car apart. The previous owner, maybe someone who was more familiar with carburetors, well, the car had a problem with a fuel line, actually an injection line, electronic injection, the supply line. He patched it up with a clamp and a little piece of pipe to fix the leak, but it didn't hold, right? When he went to drive the car, that thing burst, the pump sprayed fuel onto the hot exhaust, and the car caught fire. The car had a disaster there, about 50% damage easily, because it was a lot, right? The underside of the car also suffered a lot. When the car came to us, the initial idea was, let's take out the original engine. I was going to inspect that engine, right? I was going to put it on the stand, check it over to see if everything was okay with the engine, and we were just going to get rid of the electronic injection system and adapt an aftermarket electronic injection, an electronic injection, a FuelTech. We're a FuelTech representative here in Utah. So the initial idea was that to adapt a new intake with a new throttle body onto the original engine. When I took the engine out, we started to see the size of the problem. We realized that the engine would have to be completely taken apart because the engine was seized up, right? Just to remind you, the car is from 1981. It's only run 8,000 miles, about 13,000 kilometers, which is nothing. So it caught fire, 8 years ago or something, and it's been sitting ever since. So the cylinders got oxidized, the pistons wouldn't move anymore and all that. That's when I called the client and said, look, from here on out, the next step is to open up the engine. Let's open up the engine, rebuild everything. I had already managed to get the bearing kits, rings, everything, to come from Europe. There's a company over there that supplies this stuff. Once again, because this engine is shared by a few brands, it's a bit easier to find these repair kits over there. So, all right, the idea then shifted to that. It wasn't just about adapting the intake and the injectors anymore. It was rebuilding the engine. One fine day, we were browsing the internet, looking around and all, and then an idea came up inspired by other DeLoreans we'd seen. To swap the engine, because here in the United States, LS engines are really common, right? The Chevrolet LS, the 5.3 V8. It's really common to swap this engine into small cars because it's a light engine with an aluminum head and all that. You can even find one with an aluminum block, which makes it even lighter. But when I started looking into it, I noticed that there were already a lot, maybe 10 or so, DeLoreans with LS engines. I said, no, hold on, let's do something different. So I personally called the client and we started talking and discussing everything. And ultimately we narrowed it down to 2 primary engine options. the highly reliable Honda V6, which typically comes in many minivans here in the United States of America. It's truly a remarkably good and dependable engine, or the very famous and well-known K24, right? The K24 is a Honda 2.4 engine. It came in the Honda Accord. Some Honda CR-Vs have it too. The Honda Civic also came with it, and it's a really cool engine because it has both, it has VVT and VTC, right? So it has variable valve timing for both high and low RPMs, so you can really develop the engine well, and it becomes very responsive. It's just really, really fun to drive. And that's when we kind of decided, okay, it's going to be the Honda 4-cylinder 2.4. Let's say it was from a 2008 Honda Accord or so. And from there, the challenge began, right? Because the transmission was designed for an engine with about 120 horsepower. The original Honda engine is already close to 200 horsepower, about 170 horsepower. We did some research here and there, met some people from California who also guided us, and that's when they said, look, the transmission can't handle it, you have to open up the transmission. You have to open the transmission, change some shafts, some bearings, some parts inside the transmission, because it won't hold up. So we opened up the transmission and reinforced it. I found a company in the United States that did the laser cutting of the flange to adapt the K24, the Honda engine, to the DeLorean transmission, because we kept the DeLorean's transmission. It's a 5-speed, really good, and the combination turned out great because the car has a short transmission and the engine is responsive. So you get up to speed really fast with the car in a short distance, and you don't even have to push the engine hard because the transmission is so short. The engine went in and out of the car about 5 separate times to meticulously sort out all the various issues, including interferences, the precise transmission position, the exact engine position, the engine mount, and the transmission mount. Brake time equals 0.5s/. Once the transmission was moved, the shifter gave us a lot of trouble to get the gears to engage, but now the car shifts perfectly. All 5 gears and reverse go in smoothly, no problem at all. At the beginning, when the idea of using a Honda engine came up, I already told the client, let's put a turbo on it. No need, we don't need a turbo. Just the engine itself will be cool. With FuelTech, right, we chose an FT450 for this project, which is enough for what we need. And then after I sent some videos to the client, showing him what a turbo car is like, what the sound is like, the blow-off valve and all that, there was no way. He fell in love and said, all right, let's put a turbo on it. And that's also where we made sure that everything we put in the car is quality, right? At no point did the client always said, no, let's use good parts, functional things that will last for many years and serve for many years. We went with a Precision 6262. Yeah, a lot of people said, oh, that turbo is too big, that turbo is too big. Honestly, man, I actually thought it ended up being a bit small. With the car at about 2,800 RPM, 3,000 at most, it already spools up. Yeah, the VTC helps a lot because it really lets the engine breathe well at around 4,800 RPM when it kicks in. I haven't had time yet to take the car to the dyno, The client is eager to get the car, but from experience and just the feel of it, the car has already broken past 250 horsepower on the street, easy. This transmission, the way we built it, the way we swapped things out, it's going to handle up to about 350 horsepower. So 300 horsepower is what I want to have in this car, which is going to be really good. So the client can enjoy it, can go for a drive. Here in Utah, people really like to go up into the mountains, So there are some really beautiful views and all, and he's going to enjoy the car going up the mountain. It'll have enough power for that and for cruising around. Utah has a downside because of 2 reasons. Yeah, the winter is really cold, and the altitude here too, Utah is really high up, So because of that, they don't sell alcohol here, right? They don't sell ethanol here. Here at the gas stations, you only find gasoline and diesel. And even gasoline itself, it's often a low-octane fuel, meaning it's not a high-octane gasoline at all. So one crucial thing you quickly learn in the intricate world of car development and automotive engineering is that higher octane values are incredibly beneficial and indeed help significantly prevent the phenomenon of preignition, also known as knocking, which can occur inside the engine cylinder, especially when you have positive pressure building up within that cylinder, right? This is a fundamental principle for optimal engine performance and longevity, the famous boost, right? Yeah, so in this case, to improve, to minimize these problems, besides making a good map tuning, we also put an intercooler in the car to cool down the air temperature. So in the winter, it's not a problem using low-octane gasoline, but in the summer it is, because in the summer we get high temperatures here, and the engine's air temperature ends up getting really high, so it needs to cool that temperature down. That's when we also developed an intercooler for this car. It's not an off-the-shelf intercooler that we just adapted to it. No, we actually developed the intercooler specifically for this car, precisely so it could be efficient. In fact, we even have a forced ventilation system on this intercooler in case, if the air temperature gets too high, FuelTech can control a fan to help cool that air down even more. So like, the whole project isn't based on, oh, I have this on the shelf, I'll just adapt it to my car. No, Teach, the exhaust manifold was something I specifically required, that the exhaust manifold would put the turbo in this position. If I were to look online for a ready-made exhaust manifold, I would find one for the K24, I think, for turbo, but the turbo would be positioned, let's say, under the engine and the turbo would be hidden, it wouldn't be visible. So I wanted it, for me, it was a requirement, you know? I want the turbo to be visible because even when you close this cover is all ventilated. From the outside, you can see the turbo, you can see the car parts, so like it adds a certain charm to the project. It's not like, oh, this is what I have and that's how it's going to be. No. I remember when we were going to do the exhaust and the pressurization, my partner who does this kind of work, the guy we work with, he said, but that's going to be a lot of work. I said, man, I'll stay up all night here with you. We're going to do it because that's how I need it. That's how I pictured it, you know? When I started to picture the project, I imagined the turbo has to be at this height, the intercooler has to be here so that it turns out to be something unique, something really exclusive. I think that's the word. Even if other Honda K24s show up, and I think there already are DeLoreans with Honda K engines, with K24 engines, none of them will have this look. The exposed turbo, the exposed intercooler, you know? And this whole engine bay filled with the engine parts creates this harmony that we managed to develop here in the shop. So we did it in such a way that the dashboard, all the instruments on the dashboard are working. So like voltmeter, temperature, oil pressure, speed, RPM, everything is working. It's not like I disabled the dashboard and put in the FuelTech, and now the dashboard is just dead here. No, everything is working, but the transmission ended up really tight, right? The shifter here, it's really snug for shifting gears. We're also going to, in this next phase, do a brake upgrade. Yeah, since the car got more lively, right? It's faster now, it needs more precise braking, right? So the next step is these kinds of things that after the client enjoys the car a bit now, before the snow comes, we'll start working on them, right? Determines its value besides the condition is the production sequence. So if it's one made at the beginning of production, it's going to be worth more. So there are DeLoreans that are worth over $100,000, okay? And there's also the option to buy a kit so you can make it look just like, you know, from the movie, right? With those cables running over the fenders, that unique rear cover where he put those compartments, remember that? Yeah, there's that option too, which also, well, it might increase the value or not. It depends. It's a combination of things, right, to determine the car's value. These days, you can find several for sale on the market, around $65,000, $70,000. You can find quite a few, but original ones. When I say original, I mean with the original engine, sometimes with more miles on it, you know. There are cars with a lot of miles, more driven. But yeah, a customization like this one is hard to put a price on because it can be seen in a negative light, you know? Because it loses its originality. But once you clearly explain that this particular car was indeed recovered from a significant fire, and yes, as you can plainly see, this vehicle is extremely functional. We are currently cruising along, and I am comfortably in 5th gear here, maintaining a steady pace. And if I step on it, just observe we've got ample power. We've got substantial power in this car, and it has completely transformed the car's entire setup. So it's another way to quantify the car's value, right? But the most important thing here is what the client wants. It's what the client wanted, something exclusive that he'll enjoy, and yeah, something different, you know? He'll be able to park the car somewhere and people will say, wow, a DeLorean. It really draws attention. Today we were getting gas and people stopped to take pictures, you know? So besides being a DeLorean and already turning heads, people will say, wow, but it's turbo. Wow, but isn't it? It's got a better engine, a modern one, a modern injection system. So it's another level, it's even more exclusive. Well folks, that's it. Thank you so much for watching our video. I hope we can establish better communication between us. I'm going to try to post more, about this new phase of our shop that's focusing more on customization, performance, racing, which is a passion of mine, a passion for all of us here at the shop. But it's something I've always loved since I was a kid. I've always liked being involved with car development, making something better than it already is. Subscribe to the 47 Garage channel, Instagram, Facebook, leave a like, share it. That's important for us, right? We're slowly getting back to posting, and the Instagram is really cool. There's a lot of stuff there, and you can keep up with our craziness here. Thanks.